But when they really sink in deep down, I've seen amazing things happen. I told Heather that one of the reasons I wanted to have it signed is that once upon a time I had a girls, a senior class, very heavy with girls, not heavy girls, but many girls, in my youth group who wanted to do a youth Sunday. And there were like 8 of them who were really big jocks, like they were really into sports. A couple of them went on to play NCAA soccer for some really good teams, got scholarships. And so then there were like 8 of those, and then there were like 2 who were real dancers, who were really good dancers. So when we got together to plan Youth Sunday, the dancers, of course, said, "Let's do dance." And all of us who have 2 left feet said, "Let's not." But we got talked into it. And the way we got talked into it is we didn't have to do, pretty music on our toes and all that. We basically kind of did some of these motions to act out Psalm 30, how the Lord has lifted us up. Well, after we went through this experience together, and we managed to not fall on our faces, we went on retreat together. It was our spring retreat. And the amazing thing was, we really had gotten this psalm down deep into our hearts and into our bodies. And those girls on that retreat shared more deeply than I've ever heard a youth group share. One of the girls had been raised in a migrant farm worker family in the Central Valley of California, to 2 alcoholic parents, and had spent, of her 15 years of life by that point, she had been in 12 different foster homes before this wonderful saint of my church had adopted her. Another girl who was new to the group had told us that her parents were divorced when she was 10. There's a lot of pain and violence in her family too. And then when she was 13, just 3 years after the divorce, her father died of cancer. And now at 16, she was going to church for the first time because she had fallen in love with a cute boy in my youth group. She was being lifted up. And the third girl, she was my favorite. She was raised in a Berkeley family. Her dad was the head of one of the language departments, and they were adamantly atheist. They refused to even have a Christmas tree in their house. So, of course, what did she do to rebel? She got invited on to our mission trip with the youth group. She told her dad it would look good on her college resume. But then she did the confirmation class, and that really got his goat. But the good thing was that when she went off to college, she came out as a lesbian. And she had the courage to do that because she had gone through her entire youth in an open and affirming church. And she went on to head the campus PFLAG group. And she was adamant in preaching to her friends who would say, "Those awful Christians who teach hate." And she would speak up and say, "Not my church. I teach Sunday school just right down the road. Won't you come and see what God is doing here? I'm living proof of what God has done." On this Independence Day, I hope we can be especially moved to remember the stories of our ancestors in faith, just as the Hebrew people were reminded to do in Psalm 66, to never forget the deliverance of God when the Red Sea parted and they were led into freedom from slavery. That's the great story of salvation that's at the heart of the Passover Seder, which was the meal Jesus was celebrating on that last night of his life, the meal we remember now as Holy Communion. But you see, these acts of liberation and deliverance did not stop with Moses or with Jesus. Our God has never been one to stay safely tucked away in the covers of an old dusty book. Our God has never been a fat, happy stone idol sitting in the corner of someone's garden. Our God is real. Our God is awesome. Our God can go with us wherever we go. The power of love that is our God, our living God, is still living and leading people out of oppression, from despair to hope, and from death to life. Thanks be to God for this good news. Amen.